All right, Roto Grinders, here we are. We got a new sponsor of the show today. It is one and only Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew, cool and refreshing. Goes well with DraftKings and helps you make a much better lineup. And it's going to be a tough day out there. It's a random Sunday fun day with only 14 games today. Somehow the Cubbies and the Nats are not playing. We'll get to that in a moment. I've got a brand new host joining me today that I don't even recognize. So this is part of the parody Twitter accounts, I think. I cannot verify him. There's not a blue check mark. But I do believe this might be Bill's fan. I don't know. Announce your presence and say the code word.
This is the fake one. Sorry, I own all these new accounts. Hey, can you? The thing I found amazing about those is that the person took the time to log in and out of 8 different accounts and have conversations amongst all of them. Like, he's gonna have to hire people soon to like keep up and have realistic Twitter conversations going, or else he's just gonna be hitting the logout key and typing in usernames. Hey, I guess that means I've made it again.
Yeah, you've got like multiple fan club accounts, shall we say here. But the hair, I recognize the voice. So even though the hair's gone, your disguise, it's not working. The parody accounts are still finding you. But now I don't know much. I don't understand. I don't even have time to barely do my own Twitter. But if you want to follow me at EMac I'm nearly at 1,000 followers, and all I really tweet are retweets of good stuff and who's going to be on GrindersLive. So there you go. Not a lot of fluff with my accounts. But here's a thought. Maybe if they have their iPad logged in for one and their phone for another and the laptop for another, that only gets 3 of the 10. So yeah, there's a lot of logging in and logging out going on. I don't know. Very weird. Yeah. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. But I'm sad to say that we do not have an ace load of pitchers today, Warren. There are only 2 real aces. It's not ace day for us. So I will let you start in. Tell us who you like. Tell us who you don't like, and we will go from there. So take her away.
All right. So there's 2 today, specifically one that I think everyone is going to be on, especially on FanDuel, and that's Clayton Kershaw. And I'm just going to go out and say it. I think that's a mistake in cash games today. Now, I love Kershaw, but for $12,000, the rest of your team is going to suck. And if Kershaw doesn't have a dominant performance, which happens probably, half of his starts over the course of a year, then you're a little behind the 8 ball with people who went with cheaper pitchers. Now, the cheaper pitchers are a bit tough to come by today. I'll give you guys that. But I'm going to go out and say it, that it is a mistake to roster Kershaw, not because I don't think he's going to get 20 points. I think he's not a lock, but he's got a very, very good chance of doing so. But, say he gets 15 points. It's very tough to have the bats to make up for that. So, obviously, Kershaw and Felix, I don't have to explain too much why they're good plays. They're dominant every start. But I'm going to probably talk a little bit more about some other options that allow you to get some bats, which I think is going to be the winning combo in a tournament, cheap pitcher and bats. Would you agree with me there?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. But I am all about Clayton Kershaw because I would like to think that as grinders, we should be able to find the value that can get him in our lineups where others may not. Now, you are correct. I remember you and I were on a show last summer, and it was Yu Darvish against the putrid Houston Astros, and wasn't he like a -280 or a -300? And yeah, they tagged him for like 7 or 8 runs. That was just devastating. That could happen today. Who knows? Yeah. But I'm going with Kershaw.
Listen, I don't fault you for that. I just like going a little different. I like spending on a few hitters that I'll touch on definitely later on in the show. But if you're not going Kershaw, you're not going Felix, I think you have a few choices to go to, and there really aren't many because there are a lot of mediocre pitchers going today that really aren't playable. But I think the top guy, especially on FanDuel, has to be Giovanni Gallardo for me. You look at his last month in general. He's got an ERA as a low 2. He's at a strikeout per inning. He's striking out close to a batter per inning at home, and he's facing a depleted Rockies team that is just not nearly the same at opposing ballparks. And the way Gallardo is pitching, he seems to be learning to adjust to his declining velocity, which really threw him back last year, but he seems to have adjusted well. And I actually think he's a pretty safe play at home. You just look at his last 4 starts, not one game with more than 1 earned run, a lot of ground balls, getting some strikeouts as well. So I think that he is someone who is going to get you a great chance at a win, especially on FanDuel with Jorge De La Rosa opposing him. So I love him. Another guy I really like is John Lackey, facing the Yankees. Now, I give Lackey a hard time, and it's not because he's a bad pitcher. It's just because he's kind of a good guy to target for daily fantasy, like both him and hitters against him, because he's tough to produce runs off of, but he has a very slow delivery and he doesn't hold runners well. So I love taking fast base runners against him. So guys like Ellsbury and Gardner, I think, are in play. But I could see those guys doing very well as Lackey going deep into this game and pitching very well and pitching well for his price tag, which is very important today to find a value pitcher like that. So I don't think it's going to be perfect. It's a Sunday night baseball game against New York. There's going to be some runs scored there, but I definitely think he's going to be a solid option that doesn't hurt you. And I'm going against my own team today. Jose Quintana, very cheap, very reasonable, and this is just not the same Blue Jays team we're accustomed to seeing. Have you seen that lineup yet?
I have not yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be very, very painful.
All right, well, no Melky today now. So we have Jose Reyes.
Oh, now I got to change other lineups. God, is everybody on? I'm going to recommend having a day off today. That's the third player. All right. No Melky. Yeah. Continue on. So
the lineup goes Reyes, Darren Mastroianni, who sounds like a fine Italian dinner, chicken Mastroianni. Doesn't that? No.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned by Melky. So
I'm sorry.
I'm still sad. I haven't recovered yet. But okay, yes, I'm hungry now. I wouldn't mind some chicken Mastroianni.
Yeah, I agree. Me too. But then you have Encarnacion and Navarro. Those guys are solid. And then I don't know where Brad Glenn has come from. He's batting 5th. Adam Lind against a lefty, auto out. Steve Tolleson just had laser surgery because he can't see. That's generally not a good recipe for hitting. Colby Rasmus can't hit lefties. Kawasaki, good at interviews. I'll give him that. But this lineup, top through bottom, is not good. And Quintana, he's really been solid all year. He doesn't give up many home runs. So I can't really see the Jays stringing together many rallies against him, and he doesn't give up many home runs, and he strikes a lot of guys out. So I think he's definitely a good guy that's going to fly under the radar today.
Yeah, that definitely pops him up there. A lot of people probably be off him that aren't savvy. I can't. What happened to the Blue Jays? Weren't they just crazy on fire? I mean, you even had to take down your little lower third sign today that said just stack the Blue Jays because you were sad.
Yeah, it's not. You can't stay calm and do that anymore when everyone's hurt. Just Edwin, who just stands there and watches pitches start at the bottom of the strike zone and bounce in front of home plate 4 times in a row, and then he walks to first. So if you like walks, take Edwin Encarnacion because he is seeing nothing to hit of late. But when he does, he hits at a country mile. So he's actually not a bad tournament play because he's one of the best hitters in baseball, and just every single game he's walking and just working the count and just not saying much, but he seems to at least get a hit or two every game or reach base at least.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're going to have some different pitchers because I wasn't on Quintana. I'm not on Lackey. I'm definitely not on Giovanni Gallardo. Now, I understand why people would be happy with him because in his last 4 starts he has given up exactly 0 home runs, but in the 5 starts before that I think he gave up 8 or 9, and at that point he was on pace to give up 38 for the year. I think that's the Gallardo we're going to see today. It makes me a little nervous. So I'm not really on him, but I can't fault it. You're going to have to, outside of Kershaw and Felix, you're really going to have to decide for yourself what you like because everybody has some good points about them, or a lot of pitchers have good points, but then they have the detractors, and there's just no real good way around that. So for me, I found myself with a lot of Michael Bolsinger. who is going into Petco Park to take on the San Diego Padres, who, by the way, are scoring a dramatic 3.07 runs per game at home. That's not good, Warren. That's actually, it doesn't even make it on the scale of being good. I think the next closest team is 10% better. So I like him a lot. Tom Malone. Now, I've previously been on the show saying take Tom Malone when he's at home because he's a fly ball pitcher. The ball is more contained in Oakland. I like him in Miami today. He doesn't have to face the designated hitter. He gets to take on the pitcher, and he gets to they have a larger park also. So I don't think he's a bad play, kind of a differentiation play. I want to throw out there Aaron Harang. Now, I will not be taking the orangutan because I've been burned by him. Now, that's pretty hard this year because if you consider in only 4 of his 16 starts has he given up more than 3 runs. So the other 12, he's been really good. That hasn't been when I've taken him. So just for you guys, I'm not going to take him. He's all yours today. Bartolo Colon, we all know he's like Mariano Rivera. Not from the same skill set, but we all know what pitch he's going to throw. Fortunately for him, it's just ever so slightly and they can't quite get good contact on it. I don't know how he does that, but he's sort of like the Jamie Moyer of location, but with a straight fastball, unlike Jamie, who was a changeup. I don't mind him. Homer Bailey. Now I want to hear your thoughts on Homer Bailey. I know you like him. He's another guy. Whatever I do, I get wrong. So we'll listen to what you have to say. And then Odrizamare Despaigne. I don't know. He's so cheap. I'm going to have him on a couple FanDuel teams just for fun because I have had an all-star lineup of bats. I've got like 4 MVP candidates in my lineup. I know other people will have that also. But if he just can make it 5 innings with 1 or 2 runs, a couple strikeouts, he'll pay his number off. I don't know that he'll be around long enough for the win. If he gets run support. So that's just more of a fun play. I'd much rather take Bolzinger. But what do you think about Bailey or any of those other picks?
I think I'm done with Homer Bailey. I mean, it's June 29th now, and I was hoping he'd regress back to what he's supposed to be doing, but just every single start he gets lit up, and I'm starting to think it's maybe not exactly bad luck. And, he strikes guys out. He's facing a cold Giants team in a pitcher-friendly park, but this guy has sucked me in a lot this year, and he's just, frankly, just not been very good. And you look at his last start against the Cubs, I mean, he just didn't even make it out of the 5th inning. You look at the Pirates start the game before, he was cruising right along. I finally thought I nailed Homer Bailey, and then he gave up like 6 hits in a row and walked the pitcher and then was pulled from the game. So he's just been inconsistent, to say the least, and even when he starts a game well, he's been inconsistent during starts, and that's definitely not fun. And you can just see by his game log, just extremely inconsistent, and he's nothing more than a tournament play right now, and to be honest, probably an overpriced one at that.
All right, Bills, you're sad. I'm going to have to virtually send you some Mountain Dew here because we got to be excited. It's Sunday Fun Day. Come on.
Yeah, but Homer Bailey, you brought him up.
Well, because like 3 weeks ago, I made this big show of saying if you want to be wrong, follow Bills and pick Homer Bailey, and he had a great outing. He hasn't done anything since then, but that one particular day, he was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him having a good game today. I just can't get excited about it, even though it is Sunday Fun Day.
All right. Well, let's get excited about some catchers here. I think you can go real pricey with Jonathan Lucroy. He's in the lineup. He hasn't had a day off since Wednesday, but they do put him in at first base from time to time now. I think on the punt play, I was ready to roll out A.J. Pierzynski against Tanaka last night, so I have no problem rolling him out there today in the nightcap game against Chase Whitley. So he's going to be on a lot of my teams. He is just so cheap on nearly every site. Even if he doesn't start, I'm really not going to kick myself for it because just he's so cheap. It'd be in most sites a no start at that cheap is better than 0 for 4 at that cheap price. But he's got a great lefty-righty matchup, and I think he still has his moments. And then one Blue Jay that should bring a smile to your face. So let's talk about him.
Dioner Navarro? Is that the guy?
Yeah, buck up, little camper. Come on. Let's turn that frown upside down and talk about Dioner Navarro.
He's okay. He's hitting the ball very well recently. He hit a home run for me actually against John Danks on Friday, and yeah, I mean he's hitting a lot of line drives recently as well. So he's someone I don't mind taking, but I mean I don't often say this. I just don't think Navarro has too much protection in that lineup, and I just don't see the offense scoring much as a whole. So I think you could see him coming up, with a lot of, 2 outs, a runner at first, not much going on, but you never know. And Navarro, he's not a bad hitter. Hits lefties a little bit better. He does have some power, but at 3,300 on DraftKings, I can definitely go for that. But I'm probably realistically not going to have much exposure to him.
All right. Well, I kind of am. For me, it's between him and AJ Pierzynski, and then I've got Lucroy on a couple of the lineups where I'm going with Bolsinger or Despont. I don't know. I can't even remember his name. The cheapie in San Diego. He has a tough name. I would like to pass a rule for Major League Baseball that everybody should be named Brad Smith, Joe Johnson, Billy Bob. Easy names that I can pronounce and remember. None of
then you get
none of this
tricky
tricky stuff. I can still go with AJ Pierzynski, and I can even spell it without even looking it up. But I get confused by pretty much every other name. But Pierzynski's been playing in the majors for what, 17 years? I've had a lot of practice.
Yeah. So why don't you talk to us about the Padres pitcher? I want to hear how you pronounce his name.
Well, let's give it a shot here. Let's try one time for real. His first name is tough. We're just going to call him Big O.
That's what my grade 1 teacher taught me.
We're going to call him the Big O. There we are. I've solved it. The Big O.
Close.
Or the OD. O to the D.
The OD.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
OD on duty. He's on duty.
Odrismare Despagne, I'm guessing.
Maybe. I'm just going to call him Odrisamer Despagny, even though I know that's obviously wrong. It just sounds better.
All right, Despagny. Sort of like Champagne.
Sure.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So as you can see, there's really not much at catcher today. Go cheap.
Yeah.
Go Navarro, middle of the road, or pay up for Lucroy in an elite lefty or for him a righty-lefty matchup today. Somehow in all these games between the Brewers and Colorado, Jorge De La Rosa has not faced them yet this year. I'm surprised. So he has not seen their brand of awesome lefty killingness, which he will today.
Yeah, and the Brewers luckily have not seen Jorge De La Rosa's brand of awfulness either. So I think they're going to score a nice amount of runs, and I think Lucroy, with everyone paying for Kershaw, I think this is another guy. You get that edge. If you go cheap pitcher and Lucroy hits a home run, you're more than likely making up for any differences that your pitcher might have had with Kershaw. So I love Lucroy today. He's my top play at catcher.
All right, so I got to punt on most of my catchers. I'm paying up for first base. Well, not necessarily paying up, but all of the options I'm going to discuss now are going to cost a little bit, so don't worry, we've got a couple more punt positions coming for you. But first base, my top guy, David Ortiz, Sunday Night Baseball, lefty-righty matchup. Love it. Even on the early lock games, he'll be in there. Freddie Freeman is in the lineup. He played 2 yesterday. He was great. I think he was 4 for 6, 4 runs, 4 walks. He didn't have any RBI, but he had a solid day in both games. I'm rolling him out there again. In particular, I really like him on FanDuel, where he is 3,400, and he is, wait for it, my apologies, 4,700 on our sponsor, DraftKings. A little pricey, but he is in my lineup at the moment for that contest. I also like Miguel Cabrera. Yes, he's good. And Jose Abreu. What do you think about Abreu today? Are you sensing he had a double dong on Friday night?
I know. You had him in the tournament of shame. You beat us all by 60 points there or something.
Yeah, that was a good showing. I got 12th in the moonshot. That was the only other tournament I put that line.
I looked at the payoff pitch, and I think you would have won the payoff pitch of that team. I was kind of hoping to see your name there, and then I saw some other guy and wasn't happy to see that.
Yeah, it seems to be that way for me. On our sponsor, DraftKings, when I have my crazy, awesome lineups, I clean up all my head-to-heads, and then whatever handful of low-level GPPs I've got it in. Then when I pay into the big GPPs, my name is not in lights. It is a dark, sad day for Team EMac. But Abreu going against Mark Burley.
Yeah, Burley, he's someone who I'm kind of on the fence about. It is a revenge game. Don't forget, not that that actually matters, but he's been okay all year, and his ERA and stuff like that, I think it will come up. But I also don't think he's a bad pitcher. I just think he's, considering the ballpark, considering the division he's in, I just don't think he's a great guy to target. But when you're talking about Jose Abreu, anytime you can get him in a matchup like even half decent, you definitely have to have him on some sort of team because, the numbers are just right in front of you. 25 home runs, 63 runs batted in. Now, he does strike out a lot, but you know what? That doesn't matter on DraftKings because all it takes is one good swing, and yeah, I'm definitely on him in tournaments.
All right, and then a couple of lower-priced plays. I'm just seeing if we've announced the lineups. We have Lucas Duda, qualifies at first and outfield, going against Edson Volquez, batting fifth, 3,900. I like him. That's an option in both spots. Miggy at 6K. As much as I want to get him in my lineup, I can't see that. It's too much. But I don't mind Morneau. I didn't mention him. He's got a good lefty-righty matchup against Gallardo. So if you're not on Gallardo, he is in a good spot. And then my last cheapie is James Loney, 3,700, batting fifth, going against Miguel Gonzalez. And I think Miguel Gonzalez is going to have a bad day today. I've slotted him in to give up 5 earned runs.
Really?
Yes. I don't normally say things like
it's possible.
That. Not hyperbole. I'm betting heavy on that one. So we'll see. What other first basemen are out there that you think we ought to mention? Maybe a little Pauly Konerko, 3,300. He's on the retirement tour, the Swan Song. He can get one more goodbye home run off of Mark Burley, his former longtime teammate.
Yeah, what's his name? Hawk Harrelson's definitely all over Paul Konerko today. He's every lineup. Paul Konerko, Gordon Beckham, Adam Dunn, lefty. He doesn't care. So Hawk Harrelson is on Konerko, but I'm not sure if I am. But the good news is you just talked me into Jose Abreu in cash games. I just made it work.
There you go. I was so glad I was to be of service not only to you, but also our loyal chat and our viewers. So I just want to take the time to say that we are sponsored today by DraftKings here on Grinders Live, and I just wanted to throw out the fact that there is plenty of room in their GPPs today. Now we've got them starting for as little as a quarter, and then all the way up to the $200 perfect game. Now there are some higher entry games. I don't have my filters set that high because I don't want to misclick and play them. I misclicked last weekend and played a 270 head-to-head FanDuel game that was out in the lobby for about 2 seconds before it got snapped up. And I lost by 1 point. And I would have won every other head-to-head game with that score. So I made a very special team there and lost $270. Oops. So I've tried to learn my lesson, and I've set my filters into more of my acceptable playing levels so they don't really go up above the $100 ones. But as I'm looking, if you are feeling rich, you can jump on in the Silver Slugger for $530 entry fee. There's 10 entries in that. Or if you're feeling like you're Mr. Bucks Deluxe and want to take on the top players for just shy of $1,100, you can get in the 12K Gold Glove. I leave that for Smizzle and Cards and everybody. I can't get my hat to work today. I'm sorry. This is annoying the hell out of me. But, yeah, I leave that for those guys. So
I won tickets to the Silver Slugger 3 different times this year, and my team came near last every single time. It was just like I couldn't have possibly made worse lineups in all 3 tournaments.
Really? 3? What is the queue to get into what price did you pay to get into the ticket?
Like the $27 satellite. I won it like 3 times in 2 weeks, and then obviously I'm excited, and it just didn't work.
All right. Huh. Interesting. I haven't I haven't gotten in those. I've got a couple perfect game or not. What are they calling the tickets to their contest? What are I don't know, the showcase tickets or. I was trying to do a job this week, so I didn't watch any of the shows, but I know there was a big announcement earlier in the week by John Aguiar talking about their new promotion. So now that I've fumbled around, I'm just going to look up what it is called here. And it is, wait for it, riveting drum roll, please, with the slow internet because I have too many windows open. It is a Legends Series. That's what I was going for. So even though it's a $200 ticket, that's what I won in the Tournament of Shame. It's only usable in some contests here. So I'm going to have to pick my spot and deploy that bad boy.
Midsummer Classic.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, I want something where I can win like $10,000, or at least have the opportunity to win $10,000. That would be fun. All right, let's look at second baseman. I think we got all the value there out of our first baseman. So, second base, kind of going cheap for me. I think you can go with Ricky Weeks. He has now found his place with a platoon relationship with his buddy Scooter Gannett, so Weeks should be in the lineup today. He's ticking up in price on some sites, but he's still definitely very reasonable. Tommy LaStella I paired him with Freddie Freeman in most of my games yesterday. He also did well in both games. I like him again today if in the lineup. Ian Kinsler, righty-righty matchup against Scott Feldman. Yes, I'm good with that. And then Ben Zobrist. Zobrist's price has kind of fallen lower than I thought it would be. He'll bat, what do you think he'll bat? Third today, probably?
Probably. The Rays are always trying new things that aren't working.
Yeah, against Miguel Gonzalez. So I like him. There are a lot of other value plays that'll appear in the Tampa Bay Rays because they play the platoon game very heavily. And their offense just hasn't been that great this season. So their prices are depressed. I will be sprinkling in several of them. We'll get to their outfielders shortly across my lineups, but I have a self-imposed 2 Tampa Bay Ray limit on my cash game teams today.
Yeah, it's probably too many. I mean, their lineup's kind of hurting me just to look at it. I mean, it's nice for the Blue Jays' sake. The bottom 4: Brandon Geyer, Logan Forsythe, Jose Molina, and Kevin Kiermaier. Ooh. Sorry, Tampa fans. Not that you guys exist.
But worth it. Sprinkle it in. Salary relief. We can't all be dour and sad about everything. Now, Warren, Canada, just in case you weren't sure, was a former colony of Great Britain. And the English have a saying called the stiff upper lip. I am hoping that translates over on to Canada. So unless we need to both stand up, put our hands over our heart, and sing a rousing rendition of "Oh Canada" to get our spirits lifted, I need a little more excitement. I am demanding it. So, are there any second basemen besides Steve Tolson that you would like to discuss, or can we move on to the hot corner?
Well, we talked about Ricky Weeks, but there's a couple, and there's one who's second base eligible on FanDuel and DraftKings, and I'm going to call him the Jordy Mercer second baseman, and that is Ed Lucas, because he doesn't have much power, but he can only hit lefties, and he hits them very well. And I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but I know this year he's hitting like 340 against lefties, and last year he hit about 350. And against righties, he hit like in the 100s. But at his price, those two at-bats probably against Malone, maybe 3, those are probably going to be worth it to get you any form of positive points. And he's the type of guy you want to plug in if you want a Kershaw. Yeah, this year, 342 average against lefties and 806 OPS, which isn't incredible, but you go back to last year, 330 batting average, 883 OPS against left-handers. So he's the Jordy Mercer of second baseman. So I definitely like him as a punt, and I don't think many will be on him either.
That is very well pointed out. Career minor leaguer who got his moment in the sun last year and has performed well. So he's in the majors yet again for another year. I think that's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that. You told me about him pre-show and clearly off my radar already. But that did remind me I do know why we are light by one game today, so we'll get to that before we do our outfielders here. We got a couple more positions, but we'll give a little history lesson that I have researched for us. So now, if that is all the second baseman that we have, who do you like at third base today, not named Aramis Ramirez or Josh Donaldson?
Those are like the only two I really like. I mean, for the rankings, I had to really dig deep to find another third baseman just worth mentioning. And
well, let's talk a little bit about Matt Dominguez. He's got to be on your radar. I know you think he's a sneaky play.
Yeah, I could go for that. I mean, once I saw Aramis Ramirez against De La Rosa, I just hit add player and then went to the next tab. But I mean, I think a lot of people might do that, especially on FanDuel at his price, and that's a good spot to go contrarian if you want to. So on DraftKings, I like Casey McGee at 3,600 actually a lot. He hasn't really hit home runs, but all the guy does is drive in runs. 48 runs batted in with just one home run this year, but he's a pretty good hitter. He rarely strikes out. He seems to have matured as a hitter in Miami. He's a lot better than he used to be, not swinging for the fences as much and just taking what the pitcher gives him. So I like him. Onto your Matt Dominguez pick, I definitely can consider it. He's 3,300 on DraftKings. He's got great power, but my problem is that he's 2 for his last 35, and not a big fan of taking a guy who's slumping like he is, especially someone like Dominguez. When he slumps, he's striking out basically every time. But the matchup certainly is there, and the upside is there. So in a tournament, I'd definitely consider Dominguez.
All right. We're getting blasted for our pronunciations. No! We don't know how to
Of what?
names.
What did I say wrong?
Oh, I think it's me. You pronounce things correctly. I'm terrible. Aramis Ramirez. Aramas? I don't know.
What's wrong with how you said that? Aramis Ramirez.
I'm not sure. Elevated Nick. Elevated Nick, no doubleheaders today. But this is a good segue to let you know. No doubleheaders today, but there was 2 yesterday. Now, Chicago and the Nats are not playing today. Did you know that this is the first time since June 19th, 1932, that the Chicago Cubs did not have a scheduled or had a scheduled off day at on Sunday? That is a long, long time. Now, there have been 2 other days where people have had scheduled Sundays off. The first or the most recent was in 2012, Atlanta. The RNC, Republican National Convention, bounced the Bravos out for a Sunday, so they had a Saturday doubleheader. And then in 1995, Busch Stadium hosted the St. Louis Rams opening day NFL football because the other dome, the Edwards Dome was not ready. So those are the only times we have seen non-scheduled or scheduled no-play Sundays. Kind of interesting there, huh?
Yeah, so, yeah, thank you for the history lesson.
All right. Back to life, back to reality. Third baseman. So, Adrian Beltre, that Texas lineup, not last 9 games, 27 runs. Not very good. The injuries just decimating them. But Adrian Beltre loves to hit home runs, loves to hit them against righties. And he is going today against Kyle Gibson. Now, Kyle Gibson magically somehow went like 17 innings without giving up an earned run until his last start, in which he gave up 7 in 2 innings. That is the Kyle Gibson I think we are going to see today, or somewhere in the middle. I'm thinking he'll give up 4 or 5 earned runs. I think he's only going to go 5 innings, 6 innings tops. So, I like me some Adrian Beltre. Any others that we missed out there? Any cheapies appearing in the lineups so far that have been released?
I'm not really seeing anything. Maybe Jeff Baker, same logic as Ed Lucas. I haven't really understand as to why I'm really all over these cheap Marlins hitters who really aren't really on my radar on any other day. Maybe Baker.
Maybe Baker. All right. Let's see if there's any. Oh, Pedro Alvarez. Thoughts on that? He creates a nice. We're gonna call him Cool Breeze, because that's what he creates with his bat. A nice cool breeze. And Warren, you're looking a little warm there. You're looking a little flush. What's going on up in Canada?
Just bringing up my broken air conditioning back on the show. Yeah, I am very warm right now. It is probably 90 degrees in this room. No portable air conditioning set up in here just yet. So, yeah, that is why I'm a little flush.
All right. Well, have you thought about potentially getting a radiator like a draft cheat? Just as a part.
Uh, I should. I should put that right in my background there, but no, I've not done that just yet. Too hot to move anywhere.
All right, let's see. Of the lineups that are announced, last GP I got here at the hot corner is Nick Castellanos, 3,300. It's a righty-righty matchup. Feldman has the ever so slight reverse splits over the last 2 seasons. What do you think about him batting there in the 6-hole today?
I'm not crazy about it. Facing Feldman, I think he's more dependent on his other hitters creating RBI chances because he hasn't really lived up to his power expectations just yet this year.
All right. Shortstop, another punt position for me today. I really have limited options, and I'm sad because you informed me just before we went on air that Jed Lowry is not playing today, which makes me sad. Now, I think there's a nice little pivot there on FanDuel at 2,600. Now, darn it, I lost my lineup page there, but I don't see that out there. Simmons is about the same price playing for Atlanta, going against David Buchanan, another pitcher I think we should pick on today. And then Elvis Andrus actually is also about the same price. So if he is in the lineup, again, I'm all over the Rangers today to get 2 or 3 on my teams. So I think he is a good way to do it now that Jed Lowry is out. I'm very sad. So since those are kind of the 2 pivots I had there, the only other guy I've been looking at this morning has been Jimmy Rollins. And, boy, let's hope he's in the lineup. Otherwise, got to rework a bunch of stuff. There he is, thankfully, batting second. So
yeah,
those are the guys I'm liking at. Now, is Ed Lucas, is he a shortstop on was? Or was he second and third?
DraftKings.
DraftKings, if he's shortstop,
he
yeah, that'll be the guy I want to get in. At shortstop, I think you said he was 2,700, so that's a nice little price.
Very good price.
But I just none of the pricier guys enthrall me today. I really don't want to pay up for Tulo. Just it's not a good spot for him, even though I'm not a fan of Gallardo. It's just too risky, and because I'm going with those expensive pitchers, I just wrote those guys off. But I think you could also argue that Hanley, who was a surprise start, he wasn't initially in the lineup last night, but then they put him in, and I think he got a couple hits. But I just don't want to pay for those guys today. So I'm going bargain shopping, going down dumpster diving. Who are you looking at?
Sounds like we're on the same guys. I mean, I don't really like any shortstops, to be honest. Like, if there's one position where I actually don't like anyone at shortstop today, but on DraftKings, you can work in Ed Lucas. On FanDuel, Elvis Andrus. It's not a great matchup. I mean, Gibson, righties are hitting 180 against him this year, which is kind of great of a split he has. But as you said, I kind of agree. I don't think he goes deep into the game. I think Andrus sees other hitters. And it's not like he can't get a hit off of Gibson. I don't think he's like this untouchable guy. And I think the average will come up soon. But Andrus is a guy, he could sneak a ground ball through the hole, steal second, and you're looking at a great punt play. So just cheap with any form of potential is not a bad option. Now, what you could do, if you want to be a little contrarian, is just spend on Tulo, even though I love Gallardo. So I'm obviously not going to do it. But if there's a position where none of the value guys are going to do well, and Tulo has one of his Tulo games, then you're getting points at a position that most people realistically aren't going to be getting anything from significant, at least.
All right, so I see that Onches is on his game, and he has us a pick 5 up there already, and we'll get a draft day up there. We've kind of gone through everything but the outfield chat. If you have some questions, go ahead and fire those up in chat. Again, this is EMac breaking the rules this weekend, and we're not doing the ask questions on Twitter because I can't remember our hashtag. So today, and today only, you can put them in chat. Warren, I've got a plethora of outfielders here, so let me just let's just go through them, and we'll see thumbs up or thumbs down. Now, sadly, Melky Cabrera is my top outfield play today. He is not in the lineup, so I got a little work to do after lock here or after we're off air because I have Jed Lowry and Melky in a lot of lineups. Last weekend, I was not a fan of Diane Viciedo. This weekend, all of a sudden, I am again. I was looking back to his numbers in 2012. He's got a 366 WOBA with 36 extra base hits in about 300 at-bats. He's cheap everywhere. He'll probably be batting 4th or 5th. So I like him. Thoughts on him today?
Yeah, he's not a bad option. He homered off of Gazcan Dickey the other day. Hit at the opposite field. So he's got some good power, and he is batting cleanup, as you predicted. Moises Sierra in the lineup. I like using him as a punt on DraftKings. 2,200. I did it the other night in cash games. Got me a nice 8 points, but he's got a lot of raw power. I know the numbers aren't there, but he's definitely someone who has potential for his price. So just totally digressing there, but I definitely like Sierra as a punt if you want to work in a Kershaw. So Sierra's in play, Viciedo's in play, but I'm not ready to go out and like stack against Burley or anything. So I like Viciedo for sure, but I can't even wait for you to segue into this. My top outfielder, Giancarlo Stanton, and it's not close. I think that facing Tommy Milone, who was absolutely awful in his last start against Boston, he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings on 9 hits. He gave up 3 warning track power fly balls in Oakland, which if he makes that mistake to Giancarlo Stanton doesn't fly out to the warning track. He just flies out to that Budweiser bar in left center. So Stanton, he's crushing lefties his whole career. He's hitting the ball incredibly at home this year, which is impressive considering the dimensions of the park. He's actually stealing bases this year as well. And you look at his game log, 3 straight multi-hit games. So even if he doesn't hit you a home run, he's really been putting up great numbers for the past few weeks. And he's definitely a guy to target while he's on a heater. And I think he's going to be very, very under-owned with people spending on Kershaw. So that's another type of guy who I think people are just going to say it's worth risking the fade for Kershaw. I'm the opposite. I think it's worth fading Kershaw to get a lot of these big names like Stanton and all the Brewers in there.
All right, in that same game, I like Cespedes batting 3rd, going in a righty-lefty matchup against Haney. I was hoping that Coco Crisp was going to be in lineup. He is not. However, Craig Gentry is leading off, 3,400, not a bad price. He gets a good righty-lefty matchup. Is that a Nate Freeman sighting? Where did he come from?
I don't know. I'm glad he's back, though. He's my favorite punt last year.
2K batting 5th. That's a nice one. Pardon?
What site? I didn't see him.
I don't know if he's well, okay. Just quickly, chat. Sometimes on our lineup page, we get a slightly different player pool feed. It's kind of like a direct feed into the databases. What they put in their player pool masks some of the people. So sometimes you will occasionally see someone in our lineups, and this could be the case with Freeman, that will have a listed price, but they won't be available in that particular game that day. It just is because our feed's looking at the raw data source, not necessarily what's created in the shell for each game. So I don't know that he's in. That might be why you didn't see him more. But he is listed at 2K first base on Oakland. So there's my little lesson behind the scenes. EMac going all technical. I don't have to touch it. Somebody just explained it to me one time. So there we go. But yeah, Stanton, awesome play. Rhys Davis is definitely up there. Carlos Gomez and Ryan Braun. Be careful with Gomez. He ran into Braun, had a stiff neck, passed his concussion protocol. I think he's going to get today off. But he is an option. The Braves guys from yesterday are the Braves guys good again today. Jason Hayward and Justin Upton. Not a fan of David Buchanan, as I have mentioned. For the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, you have Kevin Kiermaier and Matt Joyce, I think, are solid options. Dickerson and Blackman for the Rockies. Rajai Davis, Torrey Hunter, J.D. Martin, Austin Jackson. I know that lineup's out, but I think only 3 of them are in, and I can't remember which one is out. But those guys are all good in righty-righty matchups. And then Jay Bruce, Ryan Ludwig, Billy Hamilton. not a fan of Hudson. He has definitely come back to earth. He no longer has the 1.6 leading ERA, and over the last 2 starts, that ERA has almost doubled on him. So I'm not really a huge fan of his. I like Bruce potentially for the power. I like Hamilton if he's on base. I think he'll get a couple steals. Hudson doesn't give up a ton of home runs, but he doesn't throw real hard either. So you can kind of balance with Bruce and Hamilton on your same lineups. One's your power choice, and one will get speed, and it's a good cash game combo. Any thoughts throughout your other your other outfielders there? And then one that we're not going to play today, but I want to say he is back. Christian Yelich is back and leading off. He's been out for the last close to a month, but good to see him back. It is a lefty-lefty. He actually is okay against lefties this season, and it's Tommy Malone, but I don't really want to. I'm not going to put cash behind him on his first game back, but I think he's going to get a home run today. So there we go. Who are the other outfielders that you would like to bring to our attention, Bills?
Well, I'm a bit worried it's Sandy because I don't want to enunciate any wrong. The chat is still going off about this. It's pretty funny. They just won't let it go. But anyway, besides Giancarlo Stanton, hope I got that one right, I like Yoenis Cespedes, facing a lefty in Miami. I also love Oswaldo Arcia. He's my top sleeper of the day. I'm going to say he's a GPP play, but I'm going to be rolling him in cash games, to be honest. I know he's been struggling, but hits in 4 straight games, facing Colby Lewis. And we haven't really touched on this. Does chat know what Colby Lewis has given up, or the batting average, I should say, to lefties? If you guys haven't heard, it's 380. So
380?
Yep. That's
wow.
a real stat. I looked it up, and I was kind of expecting to see like 300, some power, and I saw 380. And a 434 WOBA against. So you have Arcia, who has a ton of power. You have a pitcher in Lewis who can't get lefties out. And when Arcia connects, he can hit one out of any park. So, yeah, 69 innings pitched for Lewis, 101 hits allowed, 13 stolen bases allowed. I mean, this guy's just pathetic. And lefties have a 1,000 OPS against him. So I think it's time to take note and start taking some Twins lefties today.
All right. Yeah, definitely. That's a big number there. I like that. A couple other potential cheapies out there. We have Ryan Ludwig. We have Daniel Neva, Andre Eat Here, and Brad Glenn. Those are the mispronounced names for you. For some cheapies. All right, let's do a Star Street pick 5 here. Let's see what Onges has cooked up for us for breakfast. See what I did there, Bills? That was a good one.
I do. It was pretty good.
All right, I squeezed all the juice out of that one. Yeah. All right, Miguel Cabrera or Jose Abreu.
Give me Abreu.
I agree. Ryan Braun or Giancarlo Stanton. We're going with Mike.
Stanton.
Freddie Freeman. How many? 6?
Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but maybe.
Okay. Freddie Freeman, Cespedes. I agree. Yeah. I've got Freeman in a bunch of games. I'm definitely going with Cespedes in this one. Freeman did play 2 yesterday. Yeah, I'm worried he might be a little tired, even though I'm rolling him out there. He's a good price on FanDuel. But we are on Star Street Pick 5, so we're going with Cespedes. Ramirez or Josh Donaldson?
Sorry, I didn't know who you were talking about. It's just mispronounced. I'm assuming you meant Aramis. But, yeah, I like Aramis a lot.
All right. And then Jason Hayward or Shin-Soo Choo. We did not mention Choo today. Any thoughts you'd like to give us on Choo?
It's righty-lefty at home, but he just seems to go over 4 every single night, doesn't he? He's in play on Draft Street. I saw he was very cheap over there.
So does that mean you're going with?
Like if I play on Draft Street, I'd play Choo, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to put a Draft Street lineup in. But I did see he was like under 5K over there. And he's not really in play on DraftKings, to be honest with you, but Draft Street for sure.
All right. So does that mean you would like Hayward or Choo? I'm going with Chu.
I'm going Hayward.
All right, so we agreed on most of these. Abreu, Stanton, Cespedes, Ramirez, and Chu for me, and Hayward for you. We'll go. Let's do 10 to win 200. I'm feeling lucky today. And then we'll go on the rapid fire max. Now, I was on 2 shows yesterday, Bills, for the doubleheader in honor of the doubleheaders in a random scheduling quirk. But we did win the not the rapid fire max, but we did win both rapid fires. We had a 4, 0, and 1, I think, in the morning one, and then in the evening we were either 3 and 0 or 4 or 3 and 1, 3 and 2 or 4 and 1. Either way, got a nice little bump to the bank account there. Let's see if we can continue on that theme, and if I am the one that is the lucky lightning rod that can keep it going. Are you ready, kind sir?
Sure, I'm ready.
Edwin Encarnacion, or as Pepsi wants us to refer to him as E squared, or Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton.
Oh, wow. That is tough, but I'm going to refrain from my bias, and I'm going to pick Giancarlo Stanton.
That is the correct call. What about Cespedes or Abreu?
I think Abreu.
I'm leaning that way. Adam Jones, who we did not mention, tougher matchup. Is it Cobb today or Archer? I can't remember.
Cobb.
Cobb. Cobb has his moments. Or Hayward going against David Buchanan. I'm going to lean towards Hayward just because I don't like Buchanan today. But Adam Jones is a good player.
Yeah, I agree. Same page.
Jose Reyes or Ben Zobrist?
I guess Reyes.
I think we have to go Reyes, but last time I took him on a Sunday and I settled in to watch that game, I watched him give himself a little hit pointer his first time on base, and then he was out after that. But that's neither here nor there. But that guy, he always is getting dinged up. But I'm going with Reyes. And then we have Nelson Cruz. We also didn't mention Nelson along with his buddy Adam Jones or Josh Donaldson, but I'm going Donaldson for sure on that one.
Yeah, I think that's the right play. I think Donaldson's the play there.
All right, so we are going Stanton, Abreu, Hayward, Reyes, Donaldson. There we go. And let's see what we have here for questions. Dean saying Avila instead of Alex Avila. It's awesome. You got, you know what, the mispronunciation. We're not quite professionals yet. We're working at it. But yeah, we need some classes. Well, we are getting a small stipend to do these shows, so technically we are being paid for our performance. I believe the small stipend is in accordance with our talent level, but that is okay. Let's see. Nobody likes the Brewers announcers. No Gomez. We didn't think he'd be in there. Here we go. Aram and Geyer or Donaldson and Joyce. That is a good one. I think I'm going to go with the first combination.
Yeah, I like Aram the most out of that group, so I think it's best to take the best player there and just hope you hit the right punt with Tampa.
Thoughts on Ryan Howard? Well, he is a big guy. He's from the St. Louis area. He plays for the Phillies. He hits lefties. He can still turn on a fastball, but that's about it. And he hits righties because he's a lefty. Lefties confound him. I think he's in an okay spot today. There are my thoughts on Howard.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Definitely don't mind him. He's a bit pricey on DraftKings, but you can find him cheap on a site, kind of like a 7 or 8%, 6% of your salary cap. Then I definitely don't mind it.
All right, let's see. I'm cruising through. Thoughts on Escobar against Lewis as a shortstop punt today?
Yeah, I definitely like that because, as I mentioned, lefty's hitting 380 off of Colby Lewis, so Escobar has 22 doubles this year, so doesn't hit for much power, but if he hits you a double or something today, then you're getting your money's worth for him.
All right, that about wraps her up for today. I'm just looking here. We've got 40 minutes till lock. Most everything's still got about between 60 and 75% full. There is plenty of room right now. There's still 1,000 spots out there in the moonshot. That's a fun one. If you can hit that, you can turn $2 into 1,000. That's not a bad one. I came close, and my $2 turned into 60. So great return on investment. Didn't really move the needle on the old bankroll there. That's okay. Had fun seeing my name up there at the top of the game in any event. Where are you focusing on today, Warren, on DraftKings? Are you going cash games or are you going GPPs?
I haven't decided yet. I have one team ready, so it's probably going to be cash games, but sometimes I just make a bunch on the go since more and more value plays are emerging, and I'm kind of feeling the need for Kershaw, but now I like this team. You know what I mean? Once things change, you don't want to get rid of the old lineup. You kind of get attached to it.
Yeah, it's always tough, especially when you forget you make that last-minute change and you think you've done well and you go look at the other particular side and all of a sudden you don't have who you thought you had because he was one of your last swaps. That happened to me over there on Fantasy Feud the other night. I thought I was all excited. I thought I had Abreu for his home runs, and I didn't. I had him in my initial lineup. I had him in the one that I wrote down on my piece of paper, but I made a late change, and that is very sad. It's a very sad moment. So I have two last thoughts. What do you think about Brandon Moss in a lefty-lefty today going against Andrew Haney? I have no problem with it. He actually has a 366 WOBA against lefties this season. So thoughts on that, and then I'll have a secret question for you when you are done with answering that one.
I don't really like it, to be honest. I'm not a fan of going lefty-lefty, especially with Moss. I mean, Oakland bats him 6th against them for a reason. I know he's had some early success, but if you just watch a few of his at-bats against left-handers, he looks pretty uncomfortable at the plate, and I think that the numbers will come down pretty soon. Okay.
And the secret question, who do you like for stacking today? Because I know you've written up our stacking articles.
Okay, I have 3 teams. I have Milwaukee, I have Miami, and I have Minnesota. Milwaukee facing Jorge De La Rosa, who is absolutely awful. Brewers crush lefties. It's just kind of the perfect combo. And there's some nice value to it at the bottom of the lineup if you need a filler as well to spend the big names. You know, you can go with Bianchi or Herrera. So, yeah, I got Jeff Bianchi right. I didn't go Banshee like or whatever. But, yeah, I like Milwaukee. Miami against Malone, I think they're a great value stack. You know, you have Baker, you have Stanton, McGee, and Lucas. I think that's tons of value there, and you can stack them and take Kershaw. And then you have the last stack I liked was Minnesota. Lefties at 380 off Colby Lewis, 101 hits in 69 innings. That is a lot more hits than even a guy like Eric. Over-under for a reason. So,
all right. Well, I can see your audio starting to cut out, so that must mean your internet's a little tired. So I think this is a good spot to kind of end the show. We 2 guys we didn't mention are Mike Trout. He's awesome, but his teammates Cole Calhoun batting leadoff and Josh Hamilton batting cleanup are taking on Jeremy Guthrie, who does like to give up some home runs. A little bit of rain in the forecast there. I think they're going to get the game in. We're looking at the bats, so not to fear. On that one. I was excited that Jeff Samardzija came back last night after the 55-minute rain delay until he gave up those 5 earned runs. So sometimes it's a good time for your pitcher to get bumped from a rain delay. But that is neither here nor there. So I wanted to finish the show with one random thought that meant absolutely nothing. Much like life. The if is the middle word in life. There we are. With that, thank you, DraftKings. Thank you, Roto-Grinders. For Bills fan, I am EMac saying we'll see you next weekend. Oh, wait, actually we won't. There was our secret announcement. We have a lot of secrets on the show today, but it is no more. I am not going to be on air next weekend. I am not going to be doing content next weekend. For the first time since I started in January 2013, I have a weekend off. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with myself. Actually, I know. I'm going to be traveling up to rural Massachusetts where they have DSL, which is masquerading at dial-up speeds. So I will not be on the computer next weekend. But you will be in capable hands. It's a holiday weekend, and it should be a lot of fun. So with that, we have a lot to look forward to, and we will see you later.